was every man's fantasy to be kept by a woman whose skirt is as short as the lifespan of the man that she chooses. But I said no.
Why?
Married with Children flipped the script on traditional family sitcoms, delivering crass humor and unapologetic dysfunction that both shocked and captivated viewers. At a time when wholesome TV reigned supreme, this show pushed boundaries and drew fierce backlash, but also loyal fans who loved its dark, twisted charm. Yet, behind the laughs and iconic catchphrases lurked tension and controversy that few expected. What was the turning point that ultimately forced the series off the air for good? This is the untold story of the scene that changed everything for America's most outrageous sitcom. The show's bold beginning, Married with Children, debuted on April 5, 1987, as the flagship show, marking Fox's daring entry into primetime television. Unlike the polished, idealized families dominating the airwaves, this sitcom introduced viewers to the Bundys, a distinctly dysfunctional clan whose flaws and setbacks were front and center. The show's unapologetic mix of crude humor and bleak domestic life went against every grain of traditional family sitcoms, making it a bold gamble for the fledgling network. At a time when wholesome portrayals of family life were the norm, Married with Children set out to challenge expectations and redefine what a sitcom family could be. From the very start, the creators Michael G. Moy and Ron Levitt aimed to shock as much as entertain. Their vision was of a family that was far from perfect, where nagging spouses, dead-end jobs, and constant bickering formed the fabric of daily life. The working-class Bundys were relatable in their struggles, but deliberately exaggerated in all the ways that viewers weren't used to seeing on television. Instead of a warm, supportive family, viewers found cynicism, sarcasm, and dysfunction. This clash made the show controversial, attracting criticism, but also a growing cult audience. Despite its provocative edge, Married with Children was also notable for its sharp writing and memorable characters. The show built a compelling world around the Bundys' misfortunes, making the characters' flaws both a source of laughter and uncomfortable recognition. Viewers were invited to watch Al Bundy, a shoe salesman with regrets and cynicism, and his endlessly sarcastic wife Peggy, whose refusal to conform to traditional roles added a layer of rebellion. Their children, Bud and Kelly, were not the usual wholesome teens, but caricatures of teenage awkwardness and vanity. This dynamic made Married with Children stand apart in the sitcom landscape of the late 1980s. However, the show's brash approach wasn't immediately embraced by all. Many advertisers and television executives were wary of such a raw portrayal of family life mixed with raunchy humor. Censors kept a close eye on episodes, and controversy brewed early on, especially when the Bundys' crude jokes and explicit innuendos pushed the envelope. Yet, what may have seemed like a liability to some became the show's greatest strength to others. It dared to be different and unapologetically irreverent. The show, Married with Children, faced difficulties in attracting viewers during its initial period. The show did not achieve immediate success because critics considered its vulgar comedy to be evidence of its impending cancellation. The show developed distinct promotional strength, which resulted from its rising fame and subsequent media-driven public outrage. The Bundys represented a countercultural sitcom, which presented unfiltered depictions of working-class American suffering through its authentic portrayal of actual life problems, which viewers preferred to see through TV families who presented perfect behavior. The show needed to discover new content because its initial episodes did not succeed, so they had to develop new material. The show explored three themes which sitcoms typically did not cover: marital dissatisfaction and economic stagnation and social mores which had been completely reversed. The show, Married with Children, achieved its success because it embraced offensive content which upset people, but its extreme content created a direct clash between family values organizations and network censors. The network executives needed to determine how much content the show could display before reaching unacceptable limits. Married with Children used dangerous methods to test its limits by showing explicit language and forbidden content, along with social restrictions. The show reached its artistic limit when it needed to make concessions for what society would consider acceptable. The show contains an important scene which documents a vital moment in its chaotic past. The Bundys established a new standard for television families, which enabled their family conflicts to develop through both public battles and private disputes. The show's creative team, cast, and network would soon face pressure not just from audiences, but from the very culture they were satirizing. What happened next created an unexpected situation, which most people had not predicted. Transitioning from this unorthodox beginning, casting choices played a critical role in bringing the Bundy family's dysfunction to life in a way that both shocked and charmed audiences across America. Casting the perfect dysfunction. The casting process for Married with Children was pivotal in shaping the show's unique tone, especially in finding actors who could embody the flawed but relatable Bundy family. The role of Al Bundy, the sardonic shoe salesman, nearly went in several directions before settling on Ed O'Neill. Compared to other auditionees who tried to play Al as a loud, over-the-top caricature, O'Neill brought a nuanced weariness to the character, imbuing him with a sense of defeated humor and subtle pathos. His signature slouch and sigh became the visual shorthand for Al's resignation to his downtrodden life. Similarly, Katie Saigel's approach to Peggy Bundy perfectly complemented O'Neill's Al. Saigel's inspiration to dress Peggy as a parody of a 1960s housewife added layers of comedic depth and irony to the character. The producers embraced her vision of Peggy's bouffant wig, bold fashion, and sass, which underscored Peggy's refusal to conform to the nurturing, subservient wife trope dominant at the time. Her sharp wit expressed a palpable resistance, turning the character into a feminist icon in her own unconventional way. Casting the Bundy children also reflected the show's intent to defy sitcom norms. Christina Applegate's Kelly Bundy was not the typical bright student, but a shallow, fashion-obsessed teenager whose guilelessness provided endless comedic fodder. David Faustino's Bud Bundy embodied the awkward, underachieving younger brother, adding to the family's dysfunction in a way that balanced humor with genuine character flaws. Together, the ensemble created a family that was perfectly imperfect and distinctly American. The original actors who played Kelly and Bud were replaced shortly after the pilot, but the production team confirmed Applegate and Faustino as definitive choices for their parts. The show benefited from its first casting change because it established better family relationships, which improved its overall quality while maintaining its comedic style. The Bundys became a credible family because the production team selected actors who displayed strong on-screen chemistry while depicting exaggerated family dynamics that audiences would find both humorous and relatable. The supporting cast created a complete world through their performances, especially Amanda Bearse, who played Marcy, the Bundys' neighbor who endured their problems while maintaining her strong ethical principles. The character of the Bundys served as a foil to Marcy, who brought order through her neighborhood restrictions and her need to show ethical conduct. The Bundys and Marcy created multiple plot developments, which included Al's ongoing conflict with her and Peggy's confrontational exchanges that produced a bitterly humorous atmosphere throughout the sitcom. The production team selected actors who could perform in the show's distinct style because they needed to present both extreme vulgarity and authentic emotional moments. Ed O'Neill's theater background added depth to Al's character, while Katie Saigel's charisma gave Peggy layers beyond mere sarcasm and sloth. The show maintained its comedic value because of their character development, which kept the audience engaged throughout its duration. Despite ongoing relationship issues between cast members, the entire group maintained strong teamwork through their performances, which created authentic family dynamics. The audience experienced genuine family turmoil, which the actors presented through their performances to make viewers want to watch more episodes. Their performances established credibility for a show that other people would have classified as an ordinary shock comedy. With the perfect dysfunctional family in place, Married with Children inevitably found itself at odds with the cultural expectations of its era, pushing boundaries in the 1980s. The late 1980s was a period when American television was dominated by sanitized portrayals of family life and clear moral lessons. Shows like The Cosby Show presented idealized domestic bliss, creating a backdrop against which Married with Children's raw irreverence couldn't help but stand out. Its unapologetic crassness, from explicit jokes to portrayals of laziness and selfishness, flew in the face of prevailing television norms. This stark contrast made the Bundys both reviled and riveting, pushing the boundaries of what was deemed acceptable. It wasn't just the content that was shocking. It was the unapologetic way the show wandered into taboo territory. From Al's crude attempts at flirting and his disdain for feminists, to Peggy's outright refusal to conform to traditional wife and mother roles, the humor rolled over many social conventions. The show tackled subjects often avoided elsewhere on TV, including marital dissatisfaction, dysfunctional parenting, and gritty economic realities wrapped in rapid-fire, often lightly veiled vulgar jokes. This brand of humor ensured large doses of controversy. Family values groups saw Married with Children as a cultural threat, labeling it immoral and potentially harmful to children. Some critics accused the show of celebrating sexist and offensive behavior rather than satirizing it. Yet paradoxically, this backlash helped build a cult following. The outrage functioned as publicity, drawing curious viewers eager to see a sitcom that dared to speak so brazenly. The program demonstrated how alternative comedy became popular during 1980s. This alternative comedy movement chose to eliminate standard punchlines which comedians used and instead applied unconventional humor which sometimes used offensive comedic techniques. Married with Children established itself as a mainstream show which presented this new comedy style. The show attracted viewers who wanted to see authentic content, which presented extreme family issues. The show used its provocative approach to create threats, which resulted in actual damage. The show experienced multiple censorship conflicts because networks asked for removal of certain language and joke material and complete changes to their story. The show faced two separate challenges when certain episodes led to advertisers stopping their support, and creative staff members faced new restrictions which impacted their work. The production team experienced a difficult working atmosphere because of continuous struggles between artistic direction and broadcast network requirements. The Bundys' comedic behavior brought forward unfiltered adult content, which resulted in multiple disputes that tested TV show boundaries. The show included scenes that depicted explicit content and used inappropriate language together with storylines about explicit relationships and family disputes, which resulted in public arguments about acceptable viewing standards. The display of public opinion about media content showed upcoming cultural battles which would continue beyond the present time into future years. Married with Children succeeded in creating a comedic show which produced both laughter and offensive content through its execution of this difficult task. The audience response demonstrated that people wanted to see family comedy shows which used more disrespectful humor, although mainstream audiences found this content unacceptable. The show's edgy appeal helped it succeed despite receiving negative feedback, which resulted in extended time on TV and preservation of its impact. Understanding this cultural battle is essential to grasping why a single scene not only shocked audiences, but ultimately took Married with Children off the air for good. The rise of the haters. From the moment Married with Children hit the airwaves, it attracted a fair share of critics who saw the show as an assault on good taste and family values. Among its most vocal opponents was activist Terry Rakolta, a family values advocate who launched a nationwide letter-writing campaign condemning the show's raunchy humor and vulgar content. She was particularly outraged by the episode Her Cups Runneth Over, which featured lingerie, suggestive situations, and unsolicited groping. For Rakolta and like-minded critics, the show was a dangerous influence, threatening to corrupt the American family with its crude jokes and irreverent portrayals. This public backlash sparked significant media attention, turning Married with Children into a lightning rod for debates on morality in television. Rakolta's campaign drew news coverage far beyond the typical entertainment pages, elevating the show's cultural significance while putting pressure on Fox and advertisers to respond. Ironically, this wave of criticism generated fresh curiosity among viewers who might otherwise have tuned out. The controversy acted as free publicity, bringing in an audience eager to see what all the fuss was about. Advertisers initially balked at the idea of sponsoring a sitcom so openly provocative, and some boycotted certain episodes. Yet the controversy also highlighted a tension in American society, the clash between conservative values and emerging cultural attitudes that embraced more frank portrayals of life's messier realities. For Fox, the show's edgy content was both a risk and a defining asset, helping to establish the network's identity as a challenger to established broadcasters. The show's creators leaned into the controversy rather than shy away from it. By amplifying the Bundys' outrageous behavior and crude dialogue, Married with Children embraced its reputation as television's most offensive sitcom. This rebellious stance resonated with younger viewers, especially those who saw the Bundys as a counterpoint to polished sitcom characters. The backlash gave the show a sense of cultural currency, marking it as a show that dared to defy social norms. The emergence of hate groups had more effects on the show than creating public discussions, because it created actual changes in show production and screenplay development. The production team needed to continuously decide between showing specific content and staying within their creative vision while protecting their advertising partnerships. The show experienced multiple production challenges, which included episode postponements and content removal and script alterations, which created additional stress for the production team of the show. The external factors started to create instability, which affected the stability of the show. The need to develop comedic content, which exceeded existing limits, created difficulties for the production team, who needed to meet both network and watchdog organization requirements. The production staff, including cast members and writers and producers, struggled to find a solution between keeping the show trendy and meeting censor requirements. The show established its fundamental tensions through a process that would create stronger conflicts, which developed throughout its future episodes. Married with Children achieved higher ratings after detractors created public disturbances, which showed that controversy increases show popularity. The rebellion shown on television programs developed a dedicated fan base, which remained divided into two opposing groups. The series developed a dedicated fan base, which created a cultural divide between people who supported its boundary-pushing humor and those who wanted to stop its broadcasting. As tensions outside the show grew, so too did challenges among those who brought the characters to life. On-set conflicts and tensions. Behind the laughter and outrageous scenarios, the set of Married with Children was often marked by real tensions among cast members and crew. One of the most notable feuds was between Ed O'Neill, who played Al Bundy, and Amanda Bearse, portraying neighbor Marcy. Though they maintained professional respect, their relationship reportedly grew strained by season 3, with frequent disagreements causing them to avoid interacting off-camera. This distance reflected the challenges of sustaining chemistry when personalities clashed behind the scenes. Katie Sagle's pregnancy during the show also introduced complexities to production. While initially integrated into the storyline, a subsequent miscarriage was handled through a clever narrative device that portrayed it as a nightmare Al had. Later pregnancies were concealed using camera angles and wardrobe choices, reflecting the delicate line the producers walked between addressing real-life events and preserving the show's comedic tone. These challenges highlighted the intersections of life and art on set. David Faustino, who played Bud Bundy, experienced his own moments of feeling disconnected, especially early in the series when recognition was limited. Anecdotes suggest he sometimes felt invisible, even at public appearances, reflecting the pressure on young actors to carve out space within an ensemble dominated by larger-than-life characters. Such personal struggles occasionally spilled into on-set dynamics, adding stress to the production environment. Tensions weren't limited to disagreements between actors. Even cast relationships could be complicated by personal differences. Amanda Bearse, who later came out as gay, shared that despite Ed O'Neill's outward support, neither he nor Faustino were invited to her wedding, hinting at underlying discomfort or distance in their off-screen friendships. These fractures illustrate how the pressures and personalities behind the scenes shaped a cast that was close professionally but sometimes distant personally. Another unusual source of on-set trouble was Buck, the family dog, whose persistent attempts to harass Katie Sagal led producers to consider firing both the animal and its owner. This rare conflict between human and canine contributed to the show's chaotic production environment. It's an unusual reminder that creating television magic often involves unexpected battles off camera. The show's rowdy reputation extended beyond scripts and into everyday work life, as the edgy humor amplified stress on cast and crew. The pressure to continually shock while maintaining audience interest created an atmosphere ripe for disagreements. Balancing creative freedom with professionalism proved an ongoing challenge, demanding patience and negotiation. From strained relationships between cast members to the constant scrutiny of content, Married with Children's production troubles added another layer to its turbulent history. The controversial scene unveiled. At the heart of Married with Children's turbulent history lies a scene so provocative it pushed the show beyond what even Fox could tolerate. The episode, "I'll See You in Court," was originally slated to air in 1989, but was shelved for more than a decade due to its explicit content and controversial themes. The storyline centered on Al and Peggy Bundy attempting to rejuvenate their marriage by recording intimate moments, including a scene that involved a mannequin in a highly suggestive manner. This unfiltered glimpse into the Bundys' marital strife combined sex, humor, and crassness in a way that unsettled both the network and advertisers. The episode's explicitness did not simply rely on language, but on visual innuendo and adult themes rarely shown in primetime comedy at the time. The provocative use of a mannequin became a symbol of the show's willingness to test boundaries without regard for traditional good taste or network comfort zones. Fox executives grew uneasy about airing content that might alienate viewers or provoke backlash from family advocacy groups. As a result, the episode languished unaired for years, symbolizing the constant tension between creative freedom and censorship that haunted the series. This scene and episode encapsulated the rising pressure on Married with Children to toe a delicate line. Producers and writers were constantly balancing edgy, adult humor with potential regulatory and public outrage. The controversy surrounding "I'll See You in Court" reflected how quickly confrontations over decency standards could bring a show to a grinding halt, no matter its popularity. The network feared that releasing the unedited episode would ignite a firestorm they couldn't control. The episode created forbidden access for fans, which enhanced its mysterious nature and demonstrated how Fox struggled to control its main show. Uncensored versions of the show began broadcasting in several international markets, which allowed viewers outside the United States to watch the Bundys' unfiltered, disrespectful behavior. The episode maintained its mythic status for multiple years because viewers experienced both curiosity and frustration about the show's actual content. Mainstream society began discussing censorship and artistic boundaries because of the scene's aftermath. During that time period, Married with Children established what television networks could show because cultural standards about sex and humor and family values remained unchanged. The network's sponsors and audience base created dual tensions for "I'll See You in Court" because it restricted a show which wanted to explore new content territory. The episode's disputed content showed a new direction for media because public and corporate pressures could now affect programs which had previously relied on extreme shock value. The scene represented the battle between artistic expression and creative control, which established a new direction for both the series and Fox's most progressive program. The content went beyond one moment of edgy material to become an important point, which showed the larger conflict about how television should develop. The tension inside and outside the show was about to reach a boiling point, changing everything for the Bundys and the network that had taken a chance on them. Fallout and network decisions. Following the controversy over the "I'll See You in Court" episode and other provocative content, Fox faced escalating pressure from advertisers, advocacy groups, and viewers concerned about the show's moral impact. The network was caught in a difficult position. On one hand, Married with Children was a flagship series that drew dedicated audiences, and on the other, it threatened to alienate sponsors and ignite further backlash. Fox responded cautiously, often imposing strict censorship and delaying episodes that crossed the line, balancing risk with the pursuit of ratings. The network's cautious approach contributed to internal frustrations among the show's creators and cast. Writers struggled with increased oversight, Aware that their creative freedom was curtailed by corporate concerns, cast members felt the weight of controversy on their shoulders, triggering tensions that compounded existing on-set conflicts. This pressure cooker environment strained relationships and tested the show's ability to remain true to its original rebellious spirit. Despite these challenges, the show remained on air through the early 1990s, a testament to its loyal fan base and consistent ratings success. However, the cumulative effect of controversy and censorship began to take its toll. Key episodes were shelved or altered, robbing the series of some of its edge. The delicate balance between pushing boundaries and staying within network limits proved increasingly difficult to maintain. The ongoing disputes and controversies ultimately set the stage for the show's eventual cancellation in 1997. Married with Children concluded after 11 seasons and 262 episodes, making it Fox's longest-running live-action sitcom. Yet the end felt abrupt and tinged with the consequences of years-long battles over content and control. Creative differences, network pressure, and shifting audience tastes all played roles in the decision to bring the series to a close. After the show ended its run, people described Married with Children through its boundary-breaking comedic style and the disputes which it created. The episode, I'll See You in Court, demonstrated the show's testing of its boundaries while showing how television censorship restricted show content. People maintained their interest in the unaired episodes and the heavily edited episodes because these shows revealed the restrictions and possibilities which existed in primetime television comedy. Fox used its experience with the show to shape its upcoming programming choices. The network developed strategies to handle both provocative content and typical viewer preferences. The Bundys' conflict with Fox's corporate policies serves as a study of how creative control and business demands create conflict in the entertainment industry. The consequences of the event revealed wider issues concerning artistic freedom and its function within popular media. Married with Children became a groundbreaker for its era, which demonstrated the extent to which television could challenge cultural limits until it reached institutional boundaries. The series continues to demonstrate its relevance through its ongoing battle against censorship and corporate media control in the modern entertainment industry. As the dust settled around that explosive scene and its fallout, the impact of Married with Children rippled through television history. Enduring legacy and cultural impact. Married with Children's influence on television comedy is undeniable, marking a turning point that allowed for more irreverent and boundary-pushing humor in prime time. Its unapologetic portrayal of a deeply flawed American family challenged previous ideals of sitcom wholesomeness. This boldness opened doors for later shows to explore edgier, satirical, and more controversial subject matter. The Bundys' embodiment of bitterness, dysfunction, and crude humor created a template that many series have since adapted or reacted against. The show's controversial reputation helped redefine the limits of what could be joked about in network television. While it faced censorship and backlash, Married with Children proved there was a sizable audience thirsty for humor that exposed life's darker and less polished realities. The success of the show paved the way for sitcoms that mixed comedy with social critique, blending discomfort and laughter in a way that felt raw and relatable. It challenged audiences to reconsider what family meant on television, breaking away from idealized fantasies. Married with Children also left a lasting mark on pop culture through its catchphrases, character archetypes, and memorable moments. Al Bundy's grumpy, defeated demeanor and Peggy's shameless refusal to conform became iconic representations of a particular brand of suburban disillusionment. The show's blend of satire, slapstick, and lowbrow jokes influenced not only TV sitcoms, but also films and other comedic media, embedding itself into the comedy lexicon. Its particular brand of humor resonated with viewers who saw parts of their lives reflected in the Bundys' chaos. The controversies surrounding the show lingered beyond its finale, sparking continuing conversations about censorship, taste, and the evolving boundaries of humor. Even years after the series ended, episodes like I'll See You in Court are cited in discussions about network censorship and media standards. Married with Children's run highlighted the tightrope walk between creative expression and public acceptability that still shapes television today. Its battles over content remain a touchstone for examining how far mainstream comedy can reach. The show produced lasting effects because its challenges led to its cancellation, yet it made explicit use of adult comedy for mainstream television programs. The later sitcoms developed their content by using the show's method of combining traditional sitcom elements with modern social commentary for their episodes. The Bundys established a new path which enabled shows like That 70s Show and The Simpsons to explore their creative boundaries. The series established a new standard for comedic risk through its combination of satire and shock elements, which continues to shape contemporary writers and producers. Married with Children functioned as a cultural mirror by demonstrating the worries and struggles experienced by American working-class families during the last 2 decades of the 20th century. The show presented a cynical viewpoint, which opposed the optimistic depiction of TV families during its broadcast period because it described economic problems and marriage conflicts and social isolation. The genuine nature of his comedy enabled viewers to connect who usually remained invisible on standard television. The show maintains its cultural value through nuanced commentary, which extends beyond its vulgar comedy to form an essential part of its historical impact. The cast members themselves achieved lasting recognition, with Ed O'Neill and Katie Sagal becoming iconic figures in television history. The actors established character depth through their performances, which prevented the show from turning its characters into one-dimensional comedic figures. Married with Children rewrote the rules of the family sitcom, balancing biting humor with cultural critique in a way that shocked and entertained. The scene that ended its run marked a turning point, reflecting the show's risky approach and the limits of network tolerance. If you enjoyed this deep dive into television's rebellious past, please like this video and subscribe for more stories behind the screen. Thanks for watching.